you for attending the Finance Committee. It should be our last meeting of the year. We're going to go through the recommendations that we went through at the deliberative session and see if there's anything we need to adjust. There are a couple handouts here if everybody wants to look at them and weigh in as you see fit. First off, I do want to say one thing. I think Bill deserves one heck of a hand. He has done an outstanding job on everything.
Who's Bill?
Yeah, I know, yeah. Maybe a place to start is the boilerplate that we put out. This goes out every year to the, in the mailer, along with the recommendations that we did up for the deliberatives and any amendments we make to it. But this is sort of like the heading that goes out. This format is consistent with the way we've done it other years. Neil did up an initial one, and I just probably took the liberty on a couple of small nickel-dime numbers to make sure they were consistent with the warrant articles. And if you have, I think I put this out, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if does anybody have anything
Just
they want
one,
to add to this?
Typo. The last paragraph, last sentence, or last line, be lower, you have an extra period. You have a period after lower.
Yeah, I do. Okay. That must have been the way Neil sent it to me. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, like the raise on the tax rate is set in the case of tax comma, but how much lower is unknown at this time.
Correct.
Okay, we'll change that to a comma. I think it's good. The one thing that's different than last year was the last paragraph that I think Neil suggested, because it does make reference to the low estimates on revenues. And so when people see the big numbers on the increase on a $250,000 house, yes, that could happen. We don't know what the revenues are going to be, but they are lower than, quite a bit lower than what we've gotten in the past. So that would alleviate some of those numbers. It would bring them back.
Yeah, and it's
Also,
understandable that the town would weigh in on the conservative side.
And I think same with the schools.
Yeah.
This doesn't take into account the fact that we're not recommending the $200,000 to set up a trust, which means that would go back to offset taxes.
Right. Okay, so if everyone's good with this, I'll,
I have two more things, like small periods after your town. You have periods.
Where are you?
where are we now?
The dollar amounts under next to all rejected and all approved.
Oh,
You
sure.
have periods after the 62 cents and the 9 cents.
Here,
And also the 333.
Yeah.
and there.
On state
Yeah.
and county.
Got a little wild with your
And
periods.
underneath too. And underneath
No, I didn't do that one yet. Good catch.
Yeah,
Where
All
this,
three of them. Under state and county, there's a period
Yep.
right after the dollar.
and straight down
And then
here.
your 2019 date, you have 2919
Where are you?
at the top of the table.
Instead of 20.
Hey, that's another
Oh.
good one. Boy, you are an eagle-eyed.
I
You're
thought this,
moving
I
into a
thought this
whole
committee was
different
very
generation.
farsighted.
Man,
Good job.
That's why it's
actually,
29.
I purposely did that just to see who would find it.
And you want us to
It was
believe
her,
that,
not
huh?
me.
Yeah,
So does that
Okay.
include the missed period at the end of the first paragraph?
yeah.
Oh.
Instead of putting it down after 362, we should have put it up there. Okay.
We'll probably all be
ahead,
living
Chris.
underwater in
In light of what Bill
2919.
just said, where it says increase,
6 feet under.
should that be
Which
estimated
paragraph are you?
Whoever.
on the table at the
table.
bottom?
But everything is estimated.
Yeah.
All the tax rates are estimated.
Well, I'm wondering if anybody who doesn't read the top would see that and think of it as a fixed number, or,
What probably ought to do is say, right at the header, 2919 estimated tax rates.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you throw estimated in there, once you get rid of the 29?
Okay,
Now, everybody keep in mind, next year is going to be very difficult. He won't be here.
that's okay.
I just want to get it.
ain't gonna let him. He's staying.
Everybody, come to the first meeting, because if you're absent, we're going to nominate you.
There you go. I like that, Chris.
I'll be happy to come to your first meeting and
I do
I'll
too.
bring you all the books and stuff. You can have all that background
I nominate
material.
Chris.
I know where you live, so
That's why you're all not saying anything.
Okay,
Has anybody else heard about Greg?
yes.
Yes.
I did a welfare check on his house. On my way into Concord the other day, because, I just said, well, maybe everybody's inside and they're, nobody's, they don't have, if they don't, I don't know what he has for relatives in the area.
He's got
But I
kids.
drove down by his house. His wife was going in the door, or a lady was going in the door. I don't know his wife, but I assume it was. And when I went and knocked on the door, she asked who I was. I explained that. And then she said that he had gone out west due to an emergency of a friend, a close friend, and was on his way back. Now, I don't know if he drove, if he flew, or whatever. So that was all the information I had. And that he had tried to contact John Foss or whatever and was unsuccessful. I don't know. That was what she said. So.
But as far as we know, he's healthy.
He's alive and kicking.
Yeah. So that's that. Okay, so we're. Yeah, so we're good on,
Are we all good with this?
we're good with the table.
Okay, great.
There were no changes at the school deliberative session, so as far as I'm concerned, open to comment, we just moved those recommendations that we had provided at the deliberative forward to go out with the articles. I mean, the warrant article flyer.
We need a motion?
No.
Could I just
Sure.
comment? To me, under the contract, I'm looking at Weare School District, and the cumulative 2-year projected, et cetera. I think that's misleading. I know we've had people stand up and say that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But in fact, once the first year increase plus the second year increase, those are the increases.
Right.
What we're doing when we're putting in that $653,000 is we're doubling up on the first one. We're saying,
Right.
yeah, and I think that's misleading.
Well, our statement says the cumulative 2-year projected cost over present expenses is $653,000.
And
That's what that would cost over 2 years cumulative.
And the average person is very interesting. In the 5 years, 5 years I've been involved with this, this has been something that people do keep, not just Frank, keep coming saying, we didn't realize that it's this on top of that in the
I know,
total
and
thing.
I've heard the spiel, I'm just respectfully disagreeing, because the first year's increase is paid for in the first year. And then you move on to taxes in the second year.
This is talking about the 3-year cost, or 2-year cost,
2 years.
whichever one it is.
Right. I understand that. I understand exactly what it's saying. I just think that it's misleading, because in the second year,
How is it
It's a
misleading?
Do you
statement,
wanna-
it's a
do you wanna-
statement of fact.
Are you saying you just want it to be phrased differently? Like the first year costs are, the second year cost would be a combination of, and then we give the total of that, coming to a total of 653,000, so that people understand, like, the first year's 206,000, and then the second year is 206 plus the 239.
yeah, I mean, I don't think phrasing it differently would change my mind about the way I'm looking at it.
You don't have a question about what it says. You have a question that it's in there.
Right, because I think that you've already said what you need to when you say the contract 206 plus first year, an additional 239, 520 in second year. I think that's all that needs to be said. But that's what I'm saying.
I disagree. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the fact is that in the third year, your taxes will be $600,000 higher than they would have been had the contract not been approved.
No, your taxes
No, that's
won't
not
be.
true.
Your taxes won't be. The expense you've had.
Your
have
budget
expended
will
that
be
amount
up
of
by
money.
$600,000.
No, that's not true
It
either.
won't.
It would
The
be up by
cumulative-
206 plus the 239.
Yeah,
The cumulative amount of money you spent will be.
yeah, but you've already spent part of it in the
Yeah.
first year, so it's not gonna be.
If,
an
if,
additional-
if,
We're talking
if
about
this,
the
if this
teachers'
contract
contract.
is not approved, it'll be X amount, there'll be a base X amount of dollars that's spent. 2 years later, if this contract is approved, it will be $653,000 more that's spent
Total.
than is spent if it is not approved today. accurate?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's not, this implies that in the second year, your taxes are going to pay $690,000.
No, it
doesn't
doesn't.
say that.
Not at all.
That's the total cost. Not
Over
the-
2 years.
Over 2 years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's accurate.
Not the increase, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I think it implies that, though. I understand what it says.
If Frank gets it, I think most people do.
Frank would get anything that would, I'm not gonna say that.
No, I'm
We're on
serious.
camera.
I think people understand it. A lot of people have expressed that concern.
Okay,
What's it costing us?
rest my case, lose my battle.
Yeah, because I mean, okay.
Tom, I have to agree that Tom has a point, that, that the total cost out of your pocket over 3 years is the $650,000. But your taxes have gone up, in the second year, your taxes will have gone up, or the budget will have gone up by roughly 400,000, or whatever the
Right.
number is. In the third year, it's another 400, unless there's another contract, it's still 400,000 more than it was.
I mean, not
Yeah,
to
but
belabor
it's no
it,
different
but
than
when
when
I
you
look at
buy a
that, it's
car,
like
for
saying,
heaven's
okay,
sakes.
we'll hire you for $50,000, but we can only do it for 1 year, because if we hire you for 2 years, it's gonna cost us $100,000.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So you fire me
Not
at
till
the
the
end of 1
second
year?
year.
No, we don't hire you in the first place.
That's a possibility.
If
But
this
it
is a
won't be.
two-year contract, why
Yeah.
are we talking about the third
Third
year?
year.
That was, I made a mistake. I thought this
Yes.
was a different
No,
one. This
this
is a
is a
two-year
two-year.
contract.
Yeah.
But in the third year, assuming there is no further contract,
Yeah.
it's another, what is it, 239 and two, another
Whatever the second year is.
445.
That would
And
be
every
like-
year-
Yes, the
every
budget
year-
would be up 445 every single year after.
Permanently.
that.
Yes.
Yes.
After that.
The accountants in the room agree.
Obviously, I'm not having a large following here, so.
I just,
You make a very good point. I see where-
express your opinion.
I see where Tom's coming from.
I think you make a very good
It
point
makes
that maybe
people
we just
confused.
rephrase this sentence so it's clearer that it's not 653 because
The first year.
or the second year, that we just
Can I look
rephrase
at
it and
that?
say the first year cost will be this. The second year cost would, I don't know how we say it so they're not like, what? I
But-
thought you said it was 239.
But
But
we-
I
but
don't know if the average person would understand, as he's saying, this cumulative 2-year projected cost.
But it's not the cumulative 2 year, that's the third year, isn't it?
No, there's only 2 years in the contract.
Cumulative cost.
So what she's saying, what we're saying is that the 206, you're paying that year 1.
Yep.
The 206, you're paying again in year 2, but then in year 2, you're also adding
Adding
on this
on.
239.
All right.
So Wemmy, what we should do is, okay, 206, 785 the first year, right? We all agree on that.
Yep.
The second year is an additional 239, 520 plus
For a
the
total of-
206, 785
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
total of da-da-da-da-da. The cumulative for 2 years is the 653. So if we add that other thing in, that covers everybody's thing. I know Tom's still not happy with the end, but the reality is,
We should
I-
also check on how much space we have to write
I,
this in.
I'll,
are you giving us a book?
you know, sometimes,
You
Just for
have
this.
or you want?
the only thing I'm gonna say is, when you start adding in, now we're gonna try to add in a few other numbers to throw at people. I think you're gonna confuse the issue to the point that
I do too.
Yeah,
they aren't
I
gonna,
do.
they aren't gonna know what ends up.
This has worked, the
is-
format
I
that
tried
he's
to keep
using
it
has worked
simple.
well
People
for us.
understand this.
People seem
This
to
is
get a
what we, this
grip
is
on
what
it.
we've done other years.
We do get hollered at if we don't get this stuff in, and it's not just Frank. It really isn't. We get all kinds of
Laurie,
excitement.
it's just
I
like
agree this should
Neil
be
when
there.
he was trying to put in the, was it
What were
police
you doing this
department?
time, Neil?
I don't know,
No,
Donna's going to tell me.
yeah. It's a fire or police. That he tried to do, the fire department. That
Saying it was gonna cost
he was
600.
trying to put 8 people in on a 2-year full-time person, and you can't do that. You can't look ahead 3 years down the road.
Except that the fire chief told us that's where he's
That's not the
going.
case
I-
here. This is
And we
the-
haven't told the
But
people
it might
that.
not pass.
Tell him that at the.
So why are you gonna do that?
He was clear
Whoa,
that,
whoa, whoa. This has nothing to do with it.
let's stick with just one
It's the
problem.
same idea, though.
No, it's not.
No, it's
No, it's not.
These numbers are hardwired
These are the
in.
hard numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
For 2 years.
I agree that if we try to insert that third piece, that it's gonna make it more confusing.
Okay,
No
let's just
no
move on.
offense, Megan.
Okay.
But,
Then let's just leave it. It's sludgy enough as is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
moving
To
on.
the town.
Quick, Bill, quick.
Okay, so the schools, we're gonna go with the schools the way they are. We got the boilerplate, we got the schools. Okay, now, the town articles, there were, the changes that were made at deliberative session, there were changes on a couple things. The warrant article didn't change. I don't have the revised language in front of me on these, but the warrant article didn't change on the road reconstruction bond. However, we did, in our comments, add some stuff to what we had printed
Yes.
here on that there's no cost in year one, and there are, in year two, the estimated cost would be X amount, fill in the blanks. And is that something we want to put in there, or is the warrant article itself going to address it?
No.
Put it in there.
What?
We put it in our comments.
What did you say?
In your comment, not the warrant article, but in your comments, what is it going to say?
So this
Neil?
was what was,
Neil didn't see it, Naomi.
Neil, this is what.
Turn around, Neil.
this is what I
Neil.
had to type
Neil.
in.
Naomi's sitting over there.
No, you
No,
don't
you
look
don't
at
do
it.
this.
This is what I had to type in the book.
Children.
And let me just part you with this comment that says, the tax, this is the last sentence of this big long page, says, the estimated tax impact for 2020 would be 39 cents per thousand or 97.50 increase on a $250,000 home.
Okay, so you've got both in, that's perfect. So we don't
We don't have to.
need to do that. Do you think if the town's got it covered, Neil, do you think
Yeah,
we're
I
okay
agree.
there?
Words I can put in.
Good.
Great
Okay.
job.
No change on that one.
Good adding
On
at the meeting, Beth.
Article 5, the non-union pay raises, our recommendations had made mention of merit-based pay raises. It was mentioned at the deliberative session.
It's across the board.
It's across the board, so the language I would say is, on our recommendation is, cross out merit-based and averaging 3%. We would just say the article provides pay raises, or 3% pay raises for non-union town and library employees, da-da-da-da-da.
We good with
Okay.
that?
Yep.
Okay. The only other article that I think required a look was the additional full-time police officer, which was Article 11, because the language changed on a warrant article deliberate.
The dollar amount changed.
The dollar may change too.
Dollar amount changed.
The dollar amount changed, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
why
going
it
to
was
change the,
moved.
that'd change the boilerplate language too
Police
then.
officer, Article 11.
Oh, that's right, yes, it did.
Well, not the total amount, but just for like the 6 months.
39,964.
All right,
But our blurb doesn't address that.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know if it changes this, the table we had here, if the number, no, does the number for this year change? No.
Because you have,
It was
it
not
wasn't recommended by you guys, so that won't change.
Yeah,
the
but-
all would.
But the all would.
The all would.
So instead of all approved, instead of, on the town side, I think we had 509, and that's going to be,
It's gonna be the same one.
You mean the estimated tax impact changed in your warrant?
For the police, we went from 9 months at X dollars
Yeah.
to 6 months at Y dollars. The chart reflects 9 months at X,
yeah.
and that's going to, it's going to go down to a lower amount, which
Reduction.
will reduce the tax rate by
Right.
Couple
but so-
cents.
so
What's
did
the-
they
what's
change
the right-
estimated tax in the warrant? That's a question for her. Because that's what you're talking about, is estimated tax.
the warrant will reflect the lower amount, right?
So what is it, no, Naomi? It's 6 cents right now, we're talking about Article 11, correct?
5 cents, the new number. is.
Okay, so it's 10, it's 50, instead of 509, it'd be 508.
I have a question about
Sure.
that table also. On our tax bill, we get a state tax for education. Do we
That-
have to put that in the table?
What it says down here, it assumes that they'll stay the same for
Okay.
state tax and county taxes,
Okay.
which we don't know because it's not available yet.
The word that I hear is the state tax will go down to 206, and I'm making a guess, the county tax will probably go up by 3 cents. But we don't know that. I mean, that's what people are just talking about now.
Okay,
You're up at the State House, Keith. What are you hearing?
okay.
Could be very different than that.
Yeah.
Either way, up or down.
Okay,
It's the most likely outcome.
No, that assumes they don't change the whole system.
Right.
okay, Article 11, the warrant article changed to say that they would add a full-time police officer to provide 24-hour coverage, is the addition that, the amendment that was made and it was approved at deliberative. And Therefore, I think we need to readdress our comments on that article.
How would that affect the comment that we have?
Well, let him read it.
Well, here's my thought. I just, did you get a copy of it? Oh, I got 'em here if you don't have a copy. I'm not saying this is the right answer, but I just, it's, anybody that didn't
You
get
wanna
it, just
send this
pass
down
them,
to
pass
Neil?
them
He's
down if
always
they want.
last.
This is,
to
this
get
is
these.
Bill's.
Okay.
That's just me saying, coming up, and the only reason I say this is, when I was listening to the chief address that addition to the warrant article, he said, yes, if he got that full-time position voted in, that he would be able to provide 24-hour coverage, assuming all positions were filled.
Or else he'd end up going into overtime.
Or, well, he, let me put it this way, if he didn't have that position, this position here, he could perhaps provide 24-hour coverage going into overtime over here. I mean, my concern is that because the voters, the way the warrant article's read now, is they're going to say, oh, I want 24-hour coverage, I'm going to vote for this. I think that's misleading. I don't think it's going to equate to 24-hour coverage because all positions historically have not been filled due to hiring delays, people at the academy, ramp-up time for training to get fully certified
People
to
quitting.
stand their own watch, military obligations. We've always had vacancies. And to think that, oh, if we vote for this, we're going to have 24-hour coverage, I think it's a step towards it, and that's why I've tried to say in my article, at best, voting for this article will result in scheduling flexibility, potentially reduced overtime, and a step toward resources which would allow 24-hour coverage. But I think if the new chief is hired and comes in, let him look at, this is what we originally had said, let him look at the force he has, how to serve the law enforcement demands of the town, and then look at whether, if he wants to go to 24-hour coverage, whether he wants to do it by adding full-time, whether he wants to do it with additional part-time.
Part-time would be
You've got
nice.
other things happening. The police contract, I believe, is up for
next year.
Up for next year, so a lot of things could change there. So therefore, let this be sorted out with the new supervisor.
Because we've got two
coming in.
officers that are on military. One's out right now for 6 months. He can work on weekends, but that hasn't been
I think
scheduled in.
you will accomplish what you want to if you just start with, at best, voting for this.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's better that we tell them it's misleading because the way the warrant article is now worded, people are going to think they're going to get it.
But
Get
this-
24-hour coverage.
I'm saying that I think starting with at best voting for this will result in et cetera, it says the same thing. And I know that that's not what you meant, Bill, but when you say it sounds like it's meant to be misleading.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's not what you meant.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit strong.
How about inaccurate?
Yeah,
Same thing.
but it's,
Misleading suggests that there's some sort of intentionality. Inaccurate suggests that it's a mistake.
I mean,
It's
as long as
incorrect.
we have military people, there's no way we can handle 24-hour coverage. So everybody has to be healthy, everybody has to not be out on training, and everybody has to not be out on maneuvers? Is that what they
Actually,
go on?
It's an additional 8 hours a day.
Accurate.
Because you got split between two people, because it's 4 hours, and your requirement, and I think it's a good requirement, that you have two people available, so there's some backup somewhere.
That's contract, isn't it?
Yeah,
There has
contract,
to
they
be
have
two
to have
people on a
crew
shift.
per shift, although they
So
deviated
you're
from that
talking
this
about an extra
spring,
8
summer.
hours a day. So I don't think that that's going to push up, I don't think the military duty and everything is going to tie into that a lot, because they're already dealing with that through overtime pay.
We're still running shifts that are short. We don't have full coverage running because we've got people out. We're missing one full-timer on its own. We have one out on military. So we are technically down 2 people. Even with overtime, they're still running short, and we're doing what our department said it wouldn't do, which is put a ton of overtime and have people work extra long shifts, because the longer shift you work, the more opportunity you have to make errors, and that's a department, you don't want to have that.
No wonder he recommends having 17 officers then.
But there again, I think the other thing that's missing is, and this is just me, I don't think we've got the facts and figures for all of this either. I agree with Bill, waiting for the prior new chief.
I'm just expressing my opinion.
Right.
My opinion is that it would be fine to start with at best.
It's like
Voting
very-
for this article will result in, and it tells what a best-case scenario would do.
Just delete this.
No, this one.
I
This
don't
part
think
right
you
here.
can say that
Vacancies
best-case
and
scenario will do it.
training.
Oh, no,
I
that's-
think it
that's
is
an accurate-
hoped
that's a
it will
factually
do
accurate
that, but I
statement.
don't think you can say that the best-case scenario will actually
doesn't
do
We've
say
always
that.
been down, we've always got guys on military.
Best-case scenario in my words.
Okay.
It just,
Yeah, I think
is-
someone,
I-
oh, go ahead. Someone
You
asked
don't
the
have to
chief.
raise your hand.
Someone
Chris.
asked the chief if the 24-hour coverage was possible, given the staffing that we now have, and he said it was possible. I don't know how he, what he was thinking about, but he said it, with our existing staff, this officer, it could be done.
With our existing staff,
Yeah.
probably. They come and go. But can I ask you a question? I like what you're saying there. But I'd like the sentence before that too. Could there someone include that as well, the vacancy? In other words, give them some sense of why at best voting for this? Because the sentence before is kind of what ties it together.
Yeah.
that's fine.
But you don't want to start with that sentence before it, once you do what you just described.
Why don't we say that the expectation is not realistic,
I agree
as
with
opposed
that.
to inaccurate or misleading? It's just
There,
not
yep.
realistic.
Yeah,
That works
go.
for you? Megan likes that?
we've been, yeah, we're good.
I like it too.
Because I'm the deciding factor.
Okay, so
I would agree with that.
with that, are we okay?
Well, that doesn't quite address.
Moving on.
I don't agree, but that's okay.
You just want to go.
I crossed out misleading and put not
Agree with the whole
realistic.
thing?
Is that
I don't
what
want
you
to go
said?
home.
Yes.
I
Not
just
realistic.
enjoy
Not
people so
realistic.
much.
Okay, so anything else we need to address?
I had one thing. On Article 8
Of?
of the town, we're on the town.
Okay.
It says, "The committee believes this is fair and just, is likely to alleviate filling the schedule." Should we actually say is likely to alleviate struggles in filling the schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a note about that problem.
It doesn't make sense. Is likely to alleviate filling the schedule. What is alleviated
You're
filling the
right.
struggle?
Yes. I think you're right.
Yeah,
What do you think?
definitely.
I'm
Yeah, because that way
I'm
people know
flexible.
it is a
Struggle.
struggle. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
You had
Good
one.
idea, Meg.
Problems in filling the schedule.
well, yeah.
It needed a word.
I as we were sitting there, I
Yeah,
was
problems
like,
is probably better.
Where is it in the, can you read that?
The next to last line of Article
we
8,
don't wanna
our
alleviate
recommendations. The word
filling
alleviate,
the
between
schedule.
alleviate
Although that
problems
could
filling
be
the
interesting.
schedule.
Problems in filling the schedule,
Problems in.
filling the
Oh,
schedule.
we just went to another page.
We're gonna make your font 6.
We're going for 2.
Well, God. Naomi, I would like to ask, do we have a budget?
No, you have none.
Okay, because at deliberative, Frank said that we cost too
Spend
much.
some money.
And I want to know where I'm spending money, because I missed that one.
He did
I think
say
he said it
that.
was like $200, and I was like, okay.
I guess I missed it.
It was, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
You guys don't know about the ice cream social?
Well, that's where we're going after this meeting tonight,
You must have-
I would prefer
the ice cream.
a tavern or something.
I'm with you on that. I think that's a great
I have
idea.
another format thing on 11. After not recommended, the is bolded when it shouldn't be.
Oh, yeah,
11.
the committee.
Right
We
there.
changed that whole article anyway. but that's
Well, there
being
you go.
rewritten.
All right, well,
That's being rewritten.
don't worry about it.
I'll try not to make sure, I'll make sure the first
Well,
word
Article
isn't in
12 is the
bold.
same way, the first.
What
verse.
happened?
Yeah.
No, no, no,
Some
no,
word thing
no,
you have to
no,
go
we're
in
good.
and.
That wasn't him, that was me.
You can blame him. It's okay.
No, because he sent it over and I'm the one who justified it because I hate people not justified. And then I probably just held the bold button a little long.
It's fine.
Anything else? Anybody else is excited over?
So you want me to
feel
tell you the
strongly
same
about
thing happened on
wants to
Article 15?
Revisit because they're lonely and need something
I
to
have hard
do?
shoulders and
Why are you looking at me?
Donna was looking at you, so I figured it was something in there.
Oh, there you go, Ann,
It's
19.
that corner.
Just out of curiosity, it seems to be justified, how do you manage to bold words in there?
Add
There
Article
there were
19.
two other articles that received changes, but I don't think I think they're basically wording rather than
They are.
substantive. Article 14, the fire chief's car, they changed the word fire chief's car to department command vehicle.
Yep.
And I don't think that affects our decision or our
Well,
verbiage.
we probably shouldn't call it fire chief's vehicle then,
Yeah, we probably
Should
should
just be
change that.
command vehicle.
in our wording.
In wire wording, we call
Oh.
it fire chief's vehicle. See?
Well, fire chief's vehicle is correct.
The fire command vehicle.
Fire department command vehicle. And then,
My department.
and then in Article 17, it's a new fully equipped 10-wheel plow truck.
Were there
We weren't going
questions
to
that it
spend
wasn't
that
gonna
kind of
come
money
with
on
plow?
an old one, were we?
No, it was fully equipped. That means the plows and the wings and all of the other things that
And the
go with.
radio.
But if.
And a
if-
heater?
If it says that in the article,
Gas
Wheels?
tank would be
do
good.
we have to repeat it if it says that in the article?
No, I don't think we need to make a change. I'm just
No,
telling you
yes.
that
Yeah.
that was an amendment that passed toward the end of the day, but I don't think it's substantive for our purposes.
So where they changed it to fire department command vehicle,
Yes.
would we, if we stay with fire chief's vehicle, would that?
It's
get
confusing
people-
to the people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Clearly, we're trying to sell it, so we should probably go along with
Well,
it.
Yeah.
if you want to make the point, just leave it fire chief's vehicle, AKA fire department command vehicle.
No, we're calling it command
Command
vehicle.
vehicle, I got
no,
it.
it's either or.
I got it.
3 more words.
It's getting smaller.
Yeah, but according to the
Abbreviate.
FCC, our font has to be no smaller than that of the selectmen. So if she's taking us down to 6, she's got to go down to 6 too.
I'll abbreviate department to DEPT. Okay?
You go down to 2.
All right, can you come to the microphone to explain the fonts, please?
You missed number 8.
What's number 8? What's the
Little-
matter with
little,
8?
Plastic magnifiers.
Yes, we did. It was fire department
right.
call force.
Can you find that?
Fire department.
It's this corner.
Where was it in line added? But where in 8? We're missing
Standby
it.
pay for
Call
on-
force, we just put fire department. You see what happens?
On the warrant article or in
We
our,
do all the warrant articles, and then in the warrant article, we tell you what is the article. Once I take that away, and you
Okay.
read the question, it didn't tell you who has the call force.
But it doesn't change our,
our title,
Just
where I say
Jew stuff.
standby pay for on-call firefighter EMTs, should that title be changed to something else?
No, it's in the article for the reduction in the call force wage line if it rises, right?
Not that
Okay.
one, not that one, that's the next, that's the 2 full-time, that's number 7. Number 8, all we do is add call force, because if you read it without the word, not fire department, if you read it without fire department, and you went in behind the
Oh,
curtain,
yeah,
you
they-
have no idea.
It has
what
no
the
impact
Okay.
on our,
All
no
right.
impact on what we have.
Well, did you change it to not use on-call? In other words, should we be saying call force instead of on-call
No, I
firefighter?
just put the fire department call force wage line.
Yeah, it doesn't change ours.
Which
We're
is
fine.
associated with
She's talking
standby
about a
pay.
different line in the budget. This doesn't have to do with the budget per se.
Article 8 you're talking about, right?
Article 8 for standby.
it's a different Article 8 for you.
No, it's just,
Do you use the word, the phrase on-call in any part of that?
yes. No?
We have it on ours, so. we
I
can-
know, but I don't think they have it in theirs now, that's what I'm trying to
But
clarify.
we never did, all we did was add fire department, we called it call force the
So-
whole way through.
Perhaps we should be using the same terminology they're using, to the point I'm trying to make.
My point is, do we want to change the title of our Article 8? Standby pay for on-call firefighter / EMTs. Should that be changed
Should
to
it
say
be-
something
should it
else?
be
To
standby
call-
pay for
Let me
Call
just-
force?
Let me just tell you, that's not probably even gonna, is that in your wording?
Yeah.
Yes.
But most folks know, or use the term on-call.
Yeah.
The language that's being proposed, mentioned now is something new. So if we're trying to communicate, let's use language that people have
Understand,
traditionally
which is
used to
on-call.
refer to the on-call firefighters.
Fair enough, but might that not be confusing though, when they read whatever it is they're reading over there? And then they read what we write, they're like, what the heck?
That means they will listen to us and not to the selectmen, because they understand us and
Well, fortunately, they're all consecutive, one after the other on the mailer, so people
Yeah.
will be able to
It
relate.
should-
And they're labeled with the article.
Unlike
Right.
the handout. In the mailer, they're grouped together.
Oh, I understand that, but
Yeah,
if
I
you
know.
read one, like, I'll read the
I
next one.
wanna
like-
group them together.
Hmm?
I wanna put them in the back. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Frisky tonight, isn't
I'm gonna
she?
turn yours completely upside down.
Run them sideways.
You're like Hebrew, with just my backwards.
The booklet last year had two sections to it, the selectmen section and the finance committee section.
Only the introduction.
That was the book you got, Naomi, and everybody else got a different
No, it's
book.
like this. That's the booklet. It's like this.
No, it's the article, the
It's the
purpose,
article, and then the purpose, and then the recommendation.
It's the recommendation. It's not two separate sections, because then you got John.
She
Scott.
sent you a different one to see if you were paying attention.
You know, what postage you do want.
Now he's gonna see how it goes.
Wow.
We really are getting to the point where we need not to have any more meetings. Or maybe we should continue them so we're loose next year.
I think the fact that we used the term on-call firefighters may alleviate this problem.
People know what they are.
It's in our
Yeah.
text.
People have a clue. We good?
We're good.
We're good.
Anybody else want to chime in on anything? If not, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for all their help and input this year. If for some of you it was new and exciting, Tom?
Just one thing, at, I guess it was the school district meeting, you know, Bill, you brought it up to me that I threw the committee under the bus. And that was not my intent. My intent was to show that I was speaking as a minority member of the group, which I was, on whatever this
It was,
one
it was a sole member of the group.
Which is why when
it was
we
kindergarten.
had
Souls I
the
never-
work
I
session,
didn't get that in
Yeah.
kindergarten.
kindergarten article, yeah,
Yeah.
and I wasn't trying to belittle the committee, I was just trying to stand up for my opinion.
well, that's why at the prior meeting I had said, don't use the word finance committee if you're going to be you. And when I stood up, he did.
He was the only
I
member of the finance.
said Lori Davis and my road to separate it, even though I'm there, and that's why, because, man, people get it confused, and you explained that to me, and I understand.
Yeah, and I think it's part of what I said was that I understood.
We don't want
that-
what happened at the Board of Selectmen.
I understood what the committee was saying, respect,
What are you
et
looking for?
cetera, et cetera. So anyways, sorry if I got anybody upset.
Yeah.
But thank you all for everything.
Yeah.
Special thanks to,
I wasn't joking.
he wasn't joking, I
Don't put words
wasn't
in my
either,
mouth.
so.
And each section will have a full thing
And
like
Lori
that.
scolded me on my way back. and I
Glad
said,
we clarified all of this.
You need to stop being so far down the line and a little
Just
more
know you
in.
put your own tab. I'm sure that they sell one with tabs, I don't know.
You're forgiven.
Keith, you're
I'm
off
glad he
next year.
apologized.
You're off next year.
Yes.
He
I
did,
am.
he did, not,
So
not, he
this is
didn't
the
have to do it
last year for
today.
Keith
No,
and for Bill. So we
I
say
had it in the
thank you
closet.
for
I was like, oh,
everything.
right here.
I have one, I just want to approve the minutes from 31
Oh, yeah, let's get those
January,
wonderful minutes.
our last meeting. And then next year, you can approve the minutes, whatever I write up for this meeting, which is very short and sweet.
I move that the minutes of the
31 January,
31st
31st of January.
January be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it is 7:40.
Motion to adjourn?
So move.
You don't want to use your
Seconds.
chairman's authority just to adjourn
Second.
us?
No, I don't want anybody